Good late Thursday, early Friday. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at that current Doppler radar picture zoomed in toward Bradford County right now because we are tracking a thunderstorm here at this late hour. You can see here some heavy rainfall in there as we're looking. I have our camera, by the way, up in the bottom right that'll give an eye out here towards some of that lightning here, give you a visual of that. So you're not going to see too much in that bottom right unless we're seeing some lightning there off toward the west of Stark, which we are seeing some of that here from time to time. So you can kind of see here that we'll zoom in just a little bit here. Brooker towards Sampson, that's where the heaviest rainfall is at this hour. So really just north of County Road 18 is where the heaviest rain is, but still, I know we're getting some pretty heavy rain along that route there, Brooker, Graham, that area. So we're going to keep our eyes on that here as we're kind of looking at things. We'll just continue to watch it. It's not considered strong or severe. We wouldn't generally be on, but decided to come on just a little bit later here during the late night hours since we kind of saw this thunderstorm activity trying to come together toward the south and the west here and track on off in toward this direction. Going to be impacting areas there as you're looking toward the bypass to some degree here and the western side is dark, especially over the next few moments. So just kind of something to touch on here. Again, not strong or severe, but some folks may be tuning in live here because you're hearing those rumbles of thunder. We're hearing those on the east side of town, per se, or just east of town, really. So, and this camera looking back off toward the west. That's what we had that black square in the corner for. It's not necessarily something to set up for night vision, but when the lightning flashes there, you're able to see some of the interesting weather conditions. So, thought we'd kind of focus on that here. We'll get to that full forecast in a moment. Again, not technically strong or severe here, but I just thought we might have a few folks watching because you're hearing those rumbles of thunder as we're kind of looking at things. I know around County Road 277, kind of getting into toward some of that there as we're kind of tracking on down to the intersection of County Road 18 there at this point. So I know we did have a fog threat here in play as we're looking back Thursday morning for some of us. I know even had a deadly accident in northern Bradford County. Don't know if that's because of the fog here or if the fog was a contributing factor here at this point, but I know as we're looking toward the Friday morning hours, got to watch out, especially toward Tallahassee. Maybe not as much as the east, but Tallahassee really needs to watch out for fog here as we look ahead toward that Friday morning. So just something to keep an eye on. But right now, Bradford County probably getting the heaviest concentration of rain across our 62 counties. So got to be careful on the road with that. As of the moment here, I don't see any incidents being reported on the road, so that's good news. But we'll just continue to keep you guys up to date here and watch things. You see some heavy rain acts in there in parts of Baker County, south of Taylor, but since we haven't had too much heavy rain here recently, this, especially here in the nighttime hour, this might catch you guys off guard a little bit. You see a little bit of rain in Alachua County and Gainesville, but again, a little bit more concentration here of the accident into toward Bradford County. So looking at things there, you can see this is our rainfall estimates over the last hour. Some of these red areas showing over 2 inches around La Crosse there, northwestern Alachua County. So definitely intriguing here as we're looking. Again, we always focus on the 62 counties, but we're in Bradford County and we're on right when this is kind of moving across here. Not any severe weather in play. We do have a small chance of severe weather as we look ahead. We had that on Thursday for the western counties. Didn't materialize. On Friday, I don't have a formal rest, but on Saturday, as of now, I'll zoom out here. I'll take the current radar off. As you see, maybe more flashes there in the bottom right. They're pretty quick, but indicative of some of that lightning here in Bradford County at this point. But here's your risk for your Saturday. This is the severe risk as we look further on up here. You see the green indicating marginal risk in our northwestern counties, and then a yellow a more prominent risk here. I'll switch over. I know it's not the actual radar view, but at least just the geographic view here. Montgomery, Troy, up toward LaGrange and Noonan in Georgia. You have a little bit higher risk of damaging wind gusts, maybe an isolated tornado here. So we'll watch for that. Make sure things don't shift around and get any more intense on us. I mean, the risk there sometimes can escalate. Sometimes they actually end up not being too significant here. As maybe they're presented and then they end up underachieving. So we've kind of seen that with some events here this week. We've had a couple slight risks further off to the west. They've not been too significant. The damage and winds ended up being the case on Thursday in Mississippi, but as that risk moved off toward the east, it wasn't as big of a deal. As you see, our current wind gusts don't see too much in north central Florida at all showing up. But we'll kind of go ahead and zoom back on in now here. And let's go ahead and get back over here toward some of the current views. I know we'll take off that day 3 outlook, and we see more lightning popping up again. We've seen some flashes here live on the air, it seems, in that bottom right corner. And I kind of see them in the corner of my eye. I'm not keeping my eye on it all the time, but as you guys are watching at home, some of this lightning here that's popping up is pretty renegade here in nature, but we're catching some of it. Probably this strike is what we just saw here on that camera. I mean, but the only real thunderstorm that we're seeing in our area here that's kind of standing out at me here at this point. So kind of looking across the 62 counties, it's kind of the accent centered on Bradford County right now. This is a little bit stronger maybe than what we were thinking we'd have. Again, it's not technically strong. Maybe wind gusts to about 30 miles an hour in here, so not that big of a deal, especially if this is like summer, but it is January. We've had that warm air around, so kind of leading off with this a little bit more than we generally would, because this is kind of the focal point of weather attention here across our region, albeit not that significant here at this point in time. New River to Sampson. Looking at velocity, I'm seeing about 20 miles an hour worth of wind gust potential showing up for the most part. But we'll keep looking through this here. Again, I wouldn't want a gust about 30 in there right now. But the heavy rain, I mean, that can be, especially at night when folks are maybe driving on the roads, that could be kind of not the best situation with the heavy rain around. And then you have the combination here of the darkness. I mean, and it's not being used to it even for a while. So just I have to watch. I know looking back into where there is like a couple in Georgia, we had a gust of 41 with some action on that Thursday there, but and we had some advisories, the potential for gust of 40 or so, but we didn't end up seeing any warnings here. Those were our western counties. Of course, we're always on for any tornado warning storm within our 62 counties. This is not anything close to that right now at all. But just kind of justifying where we're kind of focusing on this right now, because we are kind of seeing the action here right now impact parts of Bradford County. I know this overall pattern, as we've talked about, will produce here maybe some nastier weather towards some of the northwestern counties on Saturday. And we're going to be looking at a rip current rest. We kind of had that there in the bottom, or excuse me, the top right corner there as we came on. That rip current thread still around, especially a little toward some of those coastal areas in the Big Bend here. So again, that's something to kind of keep in mind. The temperatures are going to cool down here pretty drastically as we look ahead, not maybe to freeze for too many spots here as we're looking across the region. I know just kind of keeping our eyes on things here, our northwestern counties, as we look ahead here toward next week. Let's kind of talk about those real quick. So like Quitman County, that area, as we're getting up that way here, I'm going to be talking about maybe 33 Monday night, something like that. But that's where it'll be the coldest, and that's just maybe barely getting to a quick freeze, some frost, maybe depending on the winds here as we look ahead for some folks, but not necessarily toward north central Florida here in a really widespread manner. It doesn't look like at this point in time here. So again, just watching things, just tracking them here into our Bradford County, keeping an eye on that lightning here right now. Again, you're looking around Sampson there. We'll keep our eyes on things here. I think I'll go ahead and take away that box for the time being with our outdoor camera, but we'll continue to watch things here as needed in regards to that. But right now, let's go ahead and go on here more toward the forecast cycle. So we'll go ahead and move away here from the radar right now and pull up graphics here. As we're looking at the graphical presentation of things, you can see here some heavier rain possible as we're looking here across parts of the southeast. We had all that flooding further back off toward the west here as we were looking there. Toward parts of Louisiana, Texas over the last several days, even a flash flood emergency. We were keeping our eyes on there as we were looking there in parts of southeast Louisiana. But I know you can always go to clouder.com/radar for an interactive look at things more not here on the air. You can see southeast Louisiana still some rain here anticipated as we look ahead. It could be pretty heavy at points. Looking there at some amounts there, upward to maybe 3 inches on average, closer toward New Orleans. And then you're looking in parts of Alabama and Georgia here, central Alabama up to North Georgia. There could be some flooding concerns North Georgia, it would seem, as we kind of look at that there, because that's quite a bit of rain there as we're looking towards some of those spots. Something to kind of just keep in mind here as we look here at the timeline. Just kind of checking a few things behind the scenes real quick as we're looking at our weather maps. And you can kind of just see here, we're going to watch some of that rainfall potential. And then I know there's a couple NFL games going on here this weekend as well. I know one of those in Baltimore. That's the AFC title game. And that area is in view. I know we're going to have maybe some wintry weather as we're looking further up into ward areas here along the East Coast. But Baltimore is looking like more about the rain here at this point of the AMS conference. American Meteorological Society conference is up there at the same time. Interestingly enough, kind of an odd coincidence there. But looking like there, the high is going to be in the upper 40s on Sunday around Baltimore, than 80% chance of rain. That's according to the Weather Service. So that's something to kind of mention there. And then as we're looking out towards Santa Clara, California, I know the first game of the AFC Championship is Kansas City at Baltimore, while the NFC Championship is Detroit at San Francisco. And that weather here looks to be mostly sunny or mostly clear to partly cloudy as we're looking at things. And then you're talking about a low there as we're kind of looking at things, maybe as cool as 50 at the latest points there. But during the day, Sunday, at least 74 degrees is what the Weather Service has. So that's kind of the storyline there right now. But I don't have that on this view. But just looking there toward Tallahassee there, a quarter inch on average. Some areas in the blue, maybe a half an inch there. A possibility. So that's something to kind of look at there as we're looking toward like Perry, that vicinity, maybe over toward Williston, something like that. But don't focus on the exact spots too much. But as you're looking there further back off toward the north and west, we're talking about maybe some amounts here that'll be closer to an inch there as we're getting into those far west and northwestern counties. But the bulk of the rain stays away here in terms of the accumulation. But we have that area right now that we're tracking here that we'll get back to in a moment. So we have a 50% chance for today, but at least for some areas of Bradford County here, it's more like 100% chance. It's about the geography here and the overall probability of things across the region. But of course, we're in Bradford County, always on for like tornado warning storms and the like for all the counties. But we're knowing that more viewers are probably paying attention here at this point around Bradford County. So that's why we've kind of touched on that area a little bit more. But fog's another concern. I know we're looking off toward Tallahassee. Some of the high-res guidance was indicating more concern there on Friday, but Thursday we were dealing with that here. I know we had some of that threat further off toward the east. Just make sure you slow down and give yourself extra time to reach your destination. Make sure your vehicle is as visible as possible. Other vehicles by using your low beam headlights, and then leave plenty of room between you and the vehicle in front of you. I know when we have dense fog advisories or even the special weather statements here, maybe not quite to that level, you have hazardous driving conditions due to low visibility. So just keep that in mind. Let me see if there's any questions or comments here from any of the viewers right now. I don't see anything, but again, just thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me here. And let's go ahead and see that full forecast now as we look at that. 50% chance of rain on that Friday, 50% chance on Saturday here. Again, it's more about the geography of things. We might not have, maybe in terms of Friday at least, as much further off there. And we're not expecting severe weather, but Saturday more about some of those areas further off. But then Sunday it kind of progresses maybe to the east here, maybe more about early Sunday, and then it kind of pushes on out, and then cooler weather comes in here. As you can see, 61 for the high on Monday, but 42 in the morning. Tuesday's 37 for that low. Overall, you see going from way above average record type temperatures to these lows here that are more seasonable, if not just a little bit below average here for this time of year. I mean, just kind of depending on exactly how you look at things here, kind of dries on out. I know the moisture has been kind of nice a previous spring here, but we're going to kind of cool off here and see a more fall to winter-like setup here again across our region. It is January, still going to be February soon, but you can't expect it to stay in the 80s here forever, unfortunately. I mean, kind of wish it could, but I mean, it's been kind of just perfect weather, but you have to have a balance, and just the overall weather pattern gives everything a balance here. And that's just how it works here in meteorology. So, again, we'll just kind of keep our eyes on all of this. But let's go ahead and jump back on over here right now to some of the Doppler technology. The current temperature mainly in the 60s here at this point, as we're looking at things right now at about 1:30. As you can see here, looking overall, I mean, some areas toward Gainesville like 70 degrees. We're sitting at 66 here east of Stark. I'm trying to hear if maybe some of that rain starting to fall where we're at here further on over. Maybe just a tad of that. It's kind of, yeah, it is starting to fall as I look at my other radar. I'm pretty sure that's precipitation now. So let's pull that up a little closer, getting more towards Stark downtown now. And we'll go to our double box. You might not really be able to see too much because it is dark. If it was during the day, you'd be able to see the rain coming down. But again, this is kind of the focal point of the weather attention here right now as we're looking a little bit further on over. So again, kind of giving you guys a look in case we do get more lightning here, more flashes here of that lightning. If you're hearing thunder, I haven't heard anything in terms of that in a few minutes, so maybe we're kind of getting past that here right now. I'm still not seeing any incidents here in Bradford County, so that's a good thing. But you still got to be careful, be a little bit slower on the road. Maybe some of those oils, especially when it first starts to rain, could start to come up here a bit, and that could be an issue here. That could be an issue as we're looking at things, as we're kind of checking things on out here, because that can lead to some problems as we're kind of dealing with a situation here where it can be kind of slippery on the road at first before too much rain kind of washes all that away, but just a little bit of that mixing can be a problem. So be careful right now as you're on US 301, or if you're on the truck route / bypass here further on over. I know as you look, it doesn't show up on some of this, but you can kind of see it if I take the radar off real quick. You can see that line 4 here as that was getting on in there. That's where we're getting a lot of heavy rain as well right now. I kind of wish we had some camera shots over there, honestly, but unfortunately there's none of those available as we're looking from like Florida 5 and 1 for Bradford County or anything like that. Be kind of interesting to check out. I know those are more focused on the interstate systems like I-10 or I-75, I-95, and we do have a few there in Clay County on that newer road that they got, that road there, toll road, as you're looking at things. And we have some over toward like Perry and the like now, but don't have any in Bradford County, unfortunately. But as you can kind of see here, the heavy rain right now in Stark. I'm starting to hear that rain come down a little bit off toward the east now as well. So you see the heavier rain around Stark there. I know looking at things along State Road 100, it's coming on down, and it's going to produce a good bit of rain here. I know, by the way, while we're kind of thinking about it, I know Saturday you're going to have college basketball game in Tallahassee. Number 3 North Carolina coming into town to face FSU, who's done pretty well in the ACC this year. Non-conference didn't go so well, but the ACC's gone well, and we'll have to just watch to see, make sure storms don't impact things as people are either coming or leaving from that game. Hopefully they kind of hold on off there as we're kind of looking at the timeline of things. But definitely can hear that rain now. You might even be able to hear it in the background a little bit here as we're looking at things in Bradford County. So don't get this maybe in terms of just the renegade accent here too much. As you're looking in January here, nothing severe about this. We're just on with our formal update, but kind of saw an opportunity to time things up a bit here as this really comes on in, and you probably can hear that in the background. I'll kind of stop talking for a second if you can't. So you probably can hear that, but again, just some heavier rain here in Bradford County right now. I'm checking our rain gauges here in the last 24 hours, probably just the last little bit. About a third of an inch here toward the sheriff's office on the weather stem station there. Winds not gusty at all, really, though 9 miles an hour is all they've had on that. Again, not severe, not technically strong, but still, can cause some issues on the roads. Yeah, I see our rain gauge is starting to pick up on some stuff now. Winds aren't very high at all, though they're low. Wind, not a big deal. Lightning, just really intermittent. Again, in the summertime, you're more used to this here. I mean, this would be nothing in the summertime, but in January, it's worth at least mentioning because It may catch some folks off guard, and some of those oils on the roads and the like could start mixing a bit with a heavier downpour action, at least initially. So again, we have the camera up in the bottom right to catch any potential lightning strikes that are around. Some of the electrical energy, we have had a little compared to the rest of the area here. So you can probably really hear that rain there at points in the background. It's coming on down here in Bradford County right now around Stark. I mean, we're looking US 301 there, State Road 16, State Road 230. You can kind of see here as we're kind of tracking it here right around Sampson there. The lake area, really getting into that. I know probably start getting that over more so toward the eastern pretty soon toward Kingsley Lake as we look ahead and toward the timeline. But you see some stuff toward Gainesville. It's not too intense here, but again, we're not on because it's severe or strong, but the timing just kind of worked out that we thought it might be at least a little bit impactful to Bradford County viewers here, timing with our normal scheduled updates. So, again, right through Stark right now. Again, you're not going to probably see much on that camera in the corner. I've probably seen very little. One lightning strike here, one lightning strike there. I think it's kind of worth showing to you guys here at home. So, I mean, let me see if there's any power outages here. I'm going to check. I kind of doubt it, but it's not completely out of the question. It's not completely out of the question. I know in the day, by the way, you see a lot more, but we don't have that camera, that one in particular, for night vision, one we could show live on the air. But let me just check if there's any outages in Clay Electric. I don't see anything in Bradford, which is good news. There's a few areas there where, I mean, you have that potential. I mean, you've seen a few customers, 6 in total, go out in Levy County, and that's it. So, I mean, that's all that we have in the whole Clay Electric grid. I have 190 or so thousand. So that's good news, obviously. They get a salt blast there. That might be a little bit louder than just a guess. I think I saw a flash there on our camera just now looking away, but again, interesting here. Interesting as we're tracking. I haven't heard it yet, so maybe not quite as close, but you can kind of figure that out sometimes. But whenever you hear thunder roar off, it's when I go indoors, and nobody wants to be outside at 1:30 in the morning here with the rain coming down and some lightning around, unless they have to be. So you can kind of see that progressing here. I don't see any outages here overall in Bradford. I mean, I don't have the actual city of Stark there on that to know for sure. That's not to the poweroutage.us where you can see that. But otherwise, kind of seeing that here around. Again, a heavy thunderstorm, not strong, not severe, but heavy thunderstorm moving through. Here, and it slack off a bit right now. I see up to a point. It looks like 3.8 there on the rain gauge at the Bradford County Sheriff's Office. And lightning there. Looks like 19 minutes ago they had a strike about a mile away off toward the north and west. So kind of interesting there. Kind of intriguing here as we're kind of looking at things. Again, just staying on a few extra minutes here at this point. I mean, if you're kind of tuning in at this point, you might be kind of more interested in this. We already went over the forecast here. We kind of went over that. I'll go over it maybe one more time here for those just tuning in, though. Just kind of getting an idea here of what to expect in the days to come. So, again, just continuing to watch things here. It's 1:39, but you guys might be tuning in at a later time and want to see that forecast. So, there's that 7-day forecast there, 50% chance here. So, again, it's all relative to where you're at. That's Friday and Saturday, and not expecting too much severe weather. May get a few rogue warnings, a bigger chance Saturday of those few rogue warnings toward our area. If something changes, we'll let you know, though. But we're not turning logo red or anything like that. We're just set up 40% chance of rain on Sunday. You see the temperatures there kind of cooling on off. I mean, not just an extreme cold here, but definitely pretty cool out there, pretty chilly, pretty nippy there as you're waking on up like Tuesday morning. I mean, those kids there will need a jacket there at the bus stop. So keep that in mind as we're kind of looking at things. You know, sometimes when we get too warm here, I mean, that grass will start growing. You need to cut it again, but just to kind of try to maybe keep that at bay here, especially if we do get some frost and the like here. as we look ahead. So I'm kind of just interested to keep an eye on that. Just kind of intriguing there. Uh, as I think I hear a little rumble of thunder right now. As they go ahead and just give you another look at the Doppler and the camera there outside in the bottom right. Let's go ahead and pull on up here another view of the zoomed in Doppler. Again, it's not that big of a deal, but there's not a huge number of weather stories to talk about right now. So I know, just thought we'd kind of focus on this here since we're coming on anyway already doing that stream. I know we do have flash flood type of concern towards central Alabama, North Georgia as we look ahead. So you'll look there, Birmingham, they can see 2 to 3 inches on average there as we look through late Saturday. Atlanta, gonna be watching, and even down over in Mobile, there's gonna be some concern as well. So that'll be something we'll have to pay attention to. I know I got an 82 there in Jacksonville on that Thursday, 83 in Gainesville as the climate report, the updated full day information coming on out. Well, we're out here in Stark, we got about 83 it seems, so very warm and seasonably warm here for this time of year. So that's something to kind of touch on, but this weather's not too bad. Just be careful on the roads and the light. Not seeing any incidents still, so that's a good thing. Obviously here in Bradford County, a little bit of lightning there is popping up closer toward, yeah, Lodi there. Maybe I'm gonna guess the north end of the bypass here, maybe just north of that. But you can kind of see where that is there as it kind of merges back in and lighting that general vicinity there, just a little bit north between that and Lodi proper. So again, not too big of a deal. Again, it's just random strikes. In the summer, this wouldn't be anything to really be worried about. It's not anything to worry about now. Not if you're in bed, it's because it's sleeping weather. But if you have to get out in this, I mean, or even go outside, you know, it's not the greatest with the rain and lightning potential around. But overall, you should be okay here, as long as the lightning doesn't strike a tree or something at a very random occurrence or something closer to home. This shouldn't be the case here, probably, but there's always an outside chance. So again, just kind of looking at things here off towards Sampson. You can see here the heavy rain still coming down there. Radar estimating some areas about 1.5 inches now. Down toward the south and west of there. That kind of keeps adding up around Road 18, 1.7 inches in the last hour or so. As we're looking out there, I'll go to storm total, and it's gonna, so a different color table, but it's on a similar type of numbers when I kind of query the data here. To where western part to start closer to, it looks like here as you're leaving town, closer to 1 inch, right in town, but it's Sarasota is a little less still. But I'll check our rain gauge here. It looks like 0.49, the weather stem rain gauge anyway at the Bradford County Sheriff's Office. Our rain gauge we're at here east of Stark hadn't shown too much yet, but it's coming down here pretty quick, so it's gonna be interesting to keep an eye on here as we're looking at things. You hear that rain coming down again, so let's kind of pull that up. Not wanting to go away quite yet here as we're looking at things. This is rain, it's gonna wake some people up. I mean, depending on the roof structure that you have there, I mean, a metal roof can definitely do it here. This is that type of rain that would be kind of intriguing. Again, probably nothing more than that. And it's not something we'd have to come on for in a normal situation here. Again, we're already on. So I know some lightning here just over the last few minutes. Some heavy rain coming down. We're at here probably a little over 1/10 at this point, it would seem. As I'm kind of checking a couple different rain gauges here, mine, and checking some other data here as well. That takes a second to kind of come on in sometimes here at the very beginning of a rainfall event. But again, looking here along US 301, Bradford County, again, very heavy rain. So slow down there, use your windshield wipers, have the lights on, obviously, it's the middle of the night. As you just kind of look here for any lightning flashes around. Again, thunderstorm action here, some degree. I mean, it's maybe something where, I mean, sometimes you get a thunder showers, but that would kind of allude to it not being too heavy in terms of rain. But it's just heavy rain. It's not, we're not seeing too much lightning, but we're seeing a few strikes here and there. So that's kind of just interesting here to keep tabs on. I know when we're not on, you can go to clutter.com/radar for an interactive look at things. But we're right here at it with the worst storm in the area. I mean, honestly, I mean, there's not a lot going on in the country here in terms of weather concerned. I mean, you could probably say the worst and about the only thunderstorm in the whole southeast overland areas right now. It's right here in Bradford County right now, so kind of intriguing. I go to the broad perspective here to say what I'm talking about. You see a lot of light in the Gulf here. Some signs of maybe things to come as we look ahead, maybe not. I'll kind of take off our meso view that was showing some tornado parameters down there. You have infrared satellites showing some quarter cloud tops, but then you can see a few more areas of lightning further on off. But I know as we kind of look here, I mean, I'll go down here towards South Florida. You don't have a thunderstorm risk, nothing really down there. Central Florida there, not too much. North Florida, again, this is where we have a little bit of lightning here. Just a little bit of lightning here right now. Here and there, but heavy rain. You don't see anything else in the Panhandle, really. I mean, in Georgia, you don't really see anything. South North Carolina, I mean, you can look, I mean, you really just don't see a lot. There might be something somewhere. I mean, there might be really anything in the whole country here that's as heavy with lightning as this. There's a little bit of lightning. It looks like in Arizona here, interestingly enough, and sometimes the radars have trouble with the terrain here. So, I mean, again, not much going on, but about the most in the continental U.S. here in terms of lightning is around here. I mean, in terms of thunderstorm acts, and we have a flash flood warning in Illinois. There's some issues there. Grundy and Will counties with emergency management reporting the breakup of an ice jam on the Kankakee River, and that goes all the way to Saturday morning. So interesting there. But as we kind of look back down toward Bradford County now, again, the warmer temperatures here, and we have some heavy rain right over Stark right now here. As we zoom on in, this is more of a composite view, so it's not going to be quite as detailed and updated as the other view. You saw the risk, though. That's the general thunderstorm risk for today ahead here. We had that severe risk back again for Saturday. Had a little bit of risk for far western counties. I retweeted something there at Cloud Casey on Twitter/X, but wasn't too concerned with the overall threat, and we never got any warnings here in our covered area. A few advisories. This doesn't have an advisory now. I know we did have a flood advisory in Swanee County earlier, again, but no warnings, so we had to talk about them. Come on, no advisories in Bradford, but this is a heavy downpour. We may get a flood advisory out of this here. Not expecting any flood warning or flash flood warning or anything like that out of this. Again, the reason we're already on, or about to come on, and kind of just wanted to time things up with it since it may be kind of interesting to a few folks here. Since we haven't seen too much here at this time of day in a while, and don't have too much else going on in the country except right here in our own backyard. So, again, it's not that big of a deal, though. So just looking at more of our information. I see the Sheriff's Office now up to 7/10 of an inch here. As we're looking at things on the rain gauge. Over 7/10 of an inch down at the Sheriff's Office. That's 24 hours. I would think that pretty much be focused on this time frame now. Rain rate's almost 3 inches an hour. So definitely interesting there. Again, always interesting to watch. I would take our box off in the corner, but as soon as I do that, then we'll have a big rumble of thunder after a lightning strike there, though. I will say some of this is possible. It could be on the other side, really, of the view at this point. I know, looking back to the west end of this, though, would probably cover most of it, but a chance it doesn't quite get the best look at it here. So interesting here to watch. Let's go ahead and I'll put a loop on this here. Let me load the latest frames. You see that newest update radar view coming on in here. You can kind of see what we're talking about. They're progressing over the last little bit. Let me get this centered a little bit better. And you can kind of see here that accent coming on in here from northwestern Alachua County. I talked about a La Crosse there, getting quite a bit of rain over the last little bit. And you can kind of see how things are progressing. Now, we're even looking at things here where we saw things involving sea breeze development here on radar points, which is kind of interesting on that Thursday there, seeing some cooler temperatures at the beaches and the like. So that was intriguing here. You don't see that generally as prominently displayed in the month of January. So again, just watching things here, tracking them. Gonna wrap it up here very soon because again, this is not affecting 99% of the area here, and it's not severe or strong. But the area that's impacted, may have a few extra viewers watching here in Bradford County. So again, you can kind of see that progressing here. from the Alachua, Brooker, and out into Stark here, moving into Lodi here. Over the next little bit, they go to the current view here of this. You can kind of see what we're talking about right there over State Road 16. I mean, 230 is getting into it here. You kind of get the idea as we're looking at the Doppler technology. So, again, some heavy downpours, 1 hour rainfall, so in some areas in Stark here. I mean, getting close to an inch here. I talked about a weather stem site at the Bradford Sheriff's Office, Bradford County Sheriff's Office. You see about an inch and a half on our estimates up towards Sampson here. And then off toward County Road 18. I mean, a little bit more than that. So, I mean, that's a good bit of rain here as we're looking. We're now up to 8/10 of an inch at the Sheriff's Office. I mean, again, quite a bit of rain. I'm going to look here some more data. I'm going to look at some more data here. I mean, I'll look at some monthly information even. I mean, this is, you know, not the heaviest rainfall event we've had in a month, but you kind of look at things here, and we had all that rain to that severe event that caused the classes to be canceled there as we were looking at things there on that Tuesday there, January 9th. But, I mean, it's some pretty heavy rain here in Bradford County right now around Stark here, and I'm moving up along 301 north of Stark now. So, I mean, the fairgrounds, they're getting into it here at this point as we're looking at things. Moving up again in toward Lodi more so, that southwest to northeasterly direction on this in general. You kind of seeing that progressing. Put some more tracks on. I mean, you see it maybe even Middleburg, maybe a little bit more easterly in some ways, and that gets into North Middleburg over the next little bit. And we'll see if this gets into toward Duval and St. John's. Very well could hold together in toward some of those communities out that way. So not going to be on for that unless we have a warning with it, which I would not expect because the velocities are not impressive at all. But I mean, we're only seeing winds of 20 to maybe 30. I don't even see the 30 in here, but still interesting nonetheless here. At this late hour, we're going through all the different modes here. Not really seeing too much again. Nothing to write home about except for just the rain here coming down, and then the intermittent, very intermittent, but we've seen a few in terms of lightning strikes here at this point in time. So, again, just checking all of our different sources here. Bradford weather stem site now up to almost 9/10 of an inch here. So that's a good bit of rainfall. About 68 degrees as we're looking at thermometer information on some different sources. They have it at 68 there. I have it 68 on ours, on our weather station. So again, that is kind of interesting there. As we're looking at the Doppler radar, as we're looking along US 301, that bypass, that truck route, whatever you want to call it, they're getting it too, not just 301 through Stark here, northern edges of it through Stark at least at this point. There's some lightning. You saw that. I saw it. Be interested if it pops up in our system here. Some of those, sometimes situations don't really see that as easily here. Don't really hear the rumbles of thunder. No, it's pretty clear flash. That's what we're looking at the camera. I know. Let's go ahead, jump back on over, I think. And I hear the thunder, just heard it. So, okay, that's good. Kind of making note of that. Sometimes I see those in the corner of my eye, not sure if they're 100% flashes, but you see it popped up on the system. Sometimes it could just be something in the system, and I'm seeing a glare, but that was definitely it because it popped up on our system, some lightning, and I heard the thunder. So there it is right here. If you can't see that, just in the last few moments, popping up there. It would seem anyway that would be it. I mean, it may not be the perfect geographic match, but I definitely at least a flash in the sky here at this point in time. I'm not going to necessarily maybe see all of it there on that view, but the sky still light up even if it's in a different direction here at this point in time. So another look at the 7-day. Let me get rid of the camera for a moment. Again, you can see what we're talking about as we're looking ahead. As we're looking ahead there in terms of that flooding forecast here. So always interesting to kind of keep an eye on that. Cooler air, but again, nothing terribly significant. It doesn't look like here as we're looking ahead into toward the timeline. As we kind of give you that update here. And then put that radar back up. So there you go. And of course, we're always on the different platforms. Facebook, KC Cloud, Cloud Weather. there on that platform as well. Twitter /Exit Cloud Casey, YouTube, there at Cloud Weather. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, that's free. Twitch there, Cloud Weather. You have cloudweather.com, and then you see a little bit heavier acts in there right now, right around Camp Landon. So maybe heavier rainfall rates, I suppose. I mean, that would almost indicate some really small hail possibility in there. I don't know if we'd really get that here. I haven't really seen signs of that here in this north central Florida axis, but maybe something really tiny in there. At least some very heavy rain otherwise. There's more lightning pops up now. I didn't have the camera to catch it that time, but Lordy, it's right there popping up around that area at this point in time. So again, interesting. Let's put the camera back up to see if catch anything else if it starts to increase in intensity a little bit. I mean, it's possible. Let me put temperatures on here real quick. Again, really hyper local with the focus right now, but let me go ahead and see here if we have anything in terms of those temperatures. Could be kind of interesting here. So you see upper 60s, lower 70s off to the east. You see Lake City a little cooler, but as we're looking at things, this is not like the main event here, the cool down or anything at this point coming. That's going to be later on in the timeline. We kind of look at some more information here and just kind of zoom on out. You see the temperatures here across the region, a little cooler toward Albany, 64, but still very warm for this time of year. Again, just really focusing on this thunderstorm here in Bradford County right now. Lordy there. I mean, we see velocities 25 miles an hour in here maybe, but not a big deal. Not a big deal in terms of the wind. It's about the rain and a little bit about the lightning. So, it's kind of the storyline there. I see almost an inch now at Bradford County Sheriff's Office. Weather's temps site 0.97. As we're kind of reading through some of the data, the rain right there about 1.5 inches an hour, so slacking off some in toward that area. We check some more gauge information here. Do look east of Stark here, looking like right now. I mean, a little bit of lightning, but as we've alluded to in the last couple minutes. But then also seeing here on the rain gauge some data. It's about 2/3 of an inch at this moment. So again, just interesting here. Looks like quite a bit of rain for this time of night. This time of year, for not to be any real consequential weather in terms of strong or severe weather coming on through. So again, we've been with you over the last several minutes here, watching things. I mean, staying on longer than we generally would. I do see a new outlook came out for day 2, so let me check that. May not be able to pull that on our system here, but I can at least look at it behind the scenes to give you a visual description. But I'm going to wrap it up soon since this isn't something too consequential with what's going on now. But let me just see what we have for that day 2 outlook, since that just came in here from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. There's a slight risk of severe weather over parts of Alabama and the western Florida panhandle. A few tornadoes and isolated damage and wind gusts are possible from Saturday morning to early evening across parts of the central Gulf Coast and the deep south. So, kind of interesting to see that here. Let me kind of look at the graphical data. Most of that area is actually centered off toward like Pensacola. Panama City's more on the edge of that in our area. Our Florida counties maybe just barely get in it. It's kind of hard time having to look on a broad view right now. Maybe just barely out. Our southwest Georgia counties, some of those are ended up toward Atlanta there in the marginal, but the slight risk is Pensacola over toward areas like the Phoenix Springs, I would say, give or take, and then you have areas there in south central Alabama, so maybe especially just west of Dothan, maybe getting up toward Troy, I would say, Montgomery, then Birmingham there, kind of getting that for that Saturday. So that's a slight risk. Could have some tornado activity there, so we'll watch it. Again, most of that risk is focused west of the area, but we'll watch to make sure that it doesn't start to move in our region if something really overachieves there with that. Of course, we can come in. I know last January, the early part of January 2023, we had that tornado in Selma, and we had deadly tornado accident break out there per se. We weren't really expecting it in terms of that widespread coverage. So, gotta make sure something like that didn't happen when people are trying to enjoy their weekend. Again, what we're looking at here right now is not anything strong or severe, but it is heavy rainfall moving through. weather stem site now over an inch. 1.05 in Bradford County. Looking here, other rain gauge Jackson. Again, about 3/4 of an inch east of Stark now. So that kind of tells a story as that precipitation still falls. I mean, a good bit of rain for this time of night, this time of year. And it's not from like a squall line or anything like that. It's just random. Again, there's no real severe characteristics with this. I'll look at the parameters and kind of see why. I mean, again, there's not anything crazy with this in terms of those. So let's just pop those up real quick, though. We switch over to other source. We'll kind of see a couple things. First off, let's see the colder cloud tops with some of this. It's kind of interesting you see that as we look a little bit from above. And there's your radar again. We don't have any significant tornado parameters showing up here. Not even stuff that won't show up. But because it's below the color table, we have a little bit of supercell composite in here. A lot of it is stuff that's not showing up in the color table around Bradford County. Maybe 0.21 on that scale, which is pretty low. 0.5 off towards southern Swanee, but that's low again. Instability, we have a little bit of surface-based CAPE here. More of that focus in south central Georgia, 600 to 700 joules per kilogram. But around Bradford County, I'm actually not really seeing maybe 29.7 joules per kilogram, but it's just enough here to have a thunderstorm. But again, nothing to be severe here. As I'm going through some other metrics, I mean, our dew point would be pretty high, 66. But again, nothing too crazy with this. As we're looking at things at this point in time, let's look at 1 hour rainfall in this mode. Again, you can see around Sampson 1 or 2 inches there on this. I mean, right around Sampson proper. Some of these areas in the darker purple, over 2 inches in the last hour, it would seem. In towards Stark proper, we're talking about 1.5 inches. Some areas, according to radar at least, closer to 2 inches west of town. According to the weather stem site, the measured total is 1.13, so estimates could be a little bit overdone here, but probably not by too much. Again, as we're looking at north on 301 near 1.65 inches in the last hour, give or take. So that's quite a bit of rain, a little bit of a deluge here for this time of night, impacting some folks around the region. I think we're right here east of Stark, where heavier rain should be slacking off somewhat soon. Here, kind of at tail end probably, as we're looking towards Stark. So, again, kind of interesting here. As you still have that coming in. I'm going to take the camera away again, but you kind of get the idea as we're looking at things. We're on Camp Blandon, getting in some of that heavier rainfall. So, I'm going to go ahead and keep looking at things. Again, just thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me. See some folks watching. Somebody says it's their birthday on Facebook there. Happy birthday. But again, let's just go ahead and keep on looking at this here. A little bit more wind energy now showing up in Clay. I mean, maybe to 30 on velocity. Moving up toward areas Middleburg, Orange Park, Southern Duval. Maybe we get a gust on a sensor to 40 if it gets a little bit stronger around the St. Johns River, but again, not too concerning here. So I think that's going to do it for now. We thank you so much for tuning in. We thank you so much for trusting me. You're staying on longer than normal, tracking this heavy thunderstorm, not strong or severe, but heavy here in Bradford County here in the very late night hours. Again, we'll be on as needed here through the weekend if it is necessary. If not, we'll be back late Tuesday, but it's possible I have to cut in a little bit on the weekend here. Saturday, really probably the focus with that. So, again, I know we have interactive radar available. I hear a little bit more thunder rumbling here in Bradford County. I know we have interactive radar, cloudweather.com/radar, but we're not on. You can look at that. I mean, even when we're on, you can look at it if I'm not looking at the spot where you're going to focus. But a little more lightning starting to show up now as it lifts from Stark and further off toward the east, northeast here. So, may get a significant other advisory with that as it gets closer toward Duval County here. St. John's. I'm not expecting a warning out of this. If that were to happen, we'll let you know, of course, at least posting about it not coming on. But Not really expecting that here in the late night hours, but watching some home grown, I guess you could say, or at least a home area type of thunderstorm activity here as we're looking at it here on the live Doppler radar perspective. So have a great night, everybody. Enjoy that weekend the best you can here. Weather's not too bad for areas towards dark, maybe on Saturday. Again, further off, we'll be watching a severe threat. Maybe early Sunday is where it kind of focuses back towards dark. But right now, it's pretty bad out there. So if you have to get on the road to this very late hour, use that extra caution here. Slow down and use those windshield wipers. And even more thunder is developing here. Hearing that now, and some lightning showing on up. So you hear that thunder because of that lightning there, that electrical energy here, as we're watching everything for you.